Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to this session at the first edition of the Abu Dhabi Space Debate. I want to stop you so that I can ensure that we give as much time as possible to all of our guests. Dr. Jitendra Singh is the Indian Minister of State for Science and Technology. So I started this by suggesting that for the past 60 years you could argue that space has been the final frontier in international diplomacy, but suggested that there are very real challenges today testing that assumption. The cooperation of China, Russia and India with the rest of the world going forward will be vital in ensuring responsible behaviour in space, particularly and not least because those three countries, including your own, all possess anti-satellite weapons. I want to get the view of all of our guests here on what type of diplomatic efforts countries are prepared to begin in order to ensure that these state actors commit to the safe exploration and use of space. But let me just put to you how you perceive the role of foreign policy and international cooperation to be going forward in this new space era for India.
Thank you for bringing me in. I think at the outset I must compliment that all of us, the space has brought us together to think about the well-being of the earth. So that is one good reason to be here in this room. Now, one of the last questions that you asked was how best to integrate or to come together. My first response to that is, do we have a choice to that? There's no option. It's virtually become a necessity. We have to come together. We have to integrate. And just to pick up the cue from what Her Excellency Hashmi just now said about the renewable energy and the peaceful methods, I think India, right from the beginning, we have, and we saw it for ourselves, we have also pledged that our space program, as also our atomic energy program, is dedicated to peaceful purposes. And we did that at a time when I think the world was not very easily ready to believe us. Just imagine India's nuclear program or the atomic energy program began in early 1950s. The Hiroshima Nagasaki had not happened a decade, not even a decade earlier. So the world hated anything which carried the name atomic with it. And still, we had our founding scientists like Homi Bhabha going on to say that our atomic program is dedicated to peaceful purposes. And we have now actually walked the talk and vindicated that. And same also is the case with our space program. I think India distinguishes itself also because, and very illustriously, that we have successfully used space technology for bringing in ease of living for the common citizen. We have made it an essential tool of working in different sectors, whether it's the railways, whether it's the smart cities, whether it's the roads and buildings, highways, whether it's digital health, telemedicine. We have actually very successfully carried out that experiment. That's a success story in itself. And therefore, and I think now that very recently in the last 2-3 years, with the very path-breaking indulgence of Prime Minister Modi, a decision was taken to open it up to the non-government entities or the private participation. And within a span of 2-3 years, we have more than 100 startups. And 2 of the startup groups recently did the launchings, you must have seen in the media. So there was so much of talent waiting to happen. Possibly it was not happening because we were not giving them enough outlets. We were not integrating the private sector. We have now done that, and I think the next level would be integration of research, academia, industry, public sector as well as private sector, domestically and then also overseas. And that holds good when we collaborate with UAE as well, because UAE is, though it's just been about 25 years, but they have the passion and enthusiasm to move on. So I think we can look forward to a very progressive partnership.
Can I talk about the opportunity for international cooperation, not least within the realm of governance and regulation, because I think that is where
No, I would just say that now that we are increasingly, all of us, regardless of whatever our ideology, whatever our individual leanings, we are increasingly becoming a part of the global world. So the benchmarks are global, the challenges are global, the journey is global. So it's just like riding a bus, a travel bus. You may not be seeing eye to each other, but if the tire bursts, everybody gets affected. So there's no other option. We have to move together.
The UAE, Israel and Bahrain all signed the Artemis Accords, which embrace a common set of principles to guide cooperation amongst nations participating in NASA's Artemis program. India did not. Why not? Can we just have this discussion?
Sorry?
Why did India not sign the Artemis Accords, for example? Because we are talking here about the need for sort of fundamentally coming together.
I would request you not to be judgmental about it, because the final word is not there. We are still studying it, because we have our own lunar missions. And we have our human space mission also in 2024. In fact, the first human being would have been there. Of course, the first Indian to be in this space was way back in 1980s. But the first indigenously developed mission is going to happen in 2024, which would have happened in 2022. It could not happen because of the COVID. So we have our own stakes and our own missions, which we have to actually, take the decision in the context of that. It's not that we are either negating or approving or anything. We're just studying the impact of it overall to our plans for the next few years.